Have you tried launching a car before? I was like, you don't launch cars, you drive it. My name is Ahmed and I'm a YouTuber. I make videos. I try to make people laugh. At the same time, I like cars, so I kind of drive around and I mess around with cars. I am a space science research and also educator. So I have two careers actually. I do the space science research and I also do YouTube acting. I do a lot of films, advertisements and influencing. I was born into a very middle class family. I grew up in a very rural area in Sharjah. So I had a lot of time playing football, meeting people, so I kind of caught up with all of languages and stuff. I used that for my YouTube. Also, I kind of got into the car business from the same place because a lot of people there shabab with the cars, so I kind of got experience with the cars at the same time. So my childhood was almost like that. I spent time with cars, I spent time with science, and I spent time with animals. That's a brief story of my childhood. So it was 2010, the day when I got my license. My dad, he has a thing of keeping his cars. So he had this 1983 Mercedes W123 series 200e. So it was his first German car. So he didn't want to sell it off. He kept it. He was always in the shed in my house. It used to be a villa back then. So I had an eye on that car because that was the first car I actually touched in a driving way. What I used to do is, as kids, we know that we sit in the passenger seat and we change the gear for the dad. So my dad used to drive, and when I see his left leg go on the clutch, I'm like, it's time to change. And I bring my hand nearby and he's like, okay, now go to second, now go to third, go to fifth, now come down to fourth, come down to third. So changing those gears made me feel like I want to drive this car someday. So I was like, I tried to drive it when I was a kid and I ended up hitting a tree. So it didn't even dent the car much, only a bit of the grill was broken. So since that day I was like, I want to own this car one day. So my first car, it was in the shed. So I asked my dad, can I restore it? I had some money with me. So I was like, yeah, if you can go ahead and do it, you can do it. I figured out I can't do it in the first go, so I had to like take a couple of months to do it, and I restored it and I drove it for the first time. So it was the 1983 W123 Mercedes. My dad had this thing about having, he likes SUVs. At the same time, he also likes luxurious sedans. So when he got the cruiser back in that time, not my cruiser, but his cruiser when he got in 2004, he pretty much spent a lot of money on that because it was brand new and it was fresh. And I asked him like, don't you like sedans? Like, is this just SUVs that you like? He's like, I'd like to have sedans too, but I'm not in a state now to actually buy that car. So my point was, I would like to reach a point in my life before I hit 25 years. I want 3 different leagues of cars with me. So I should get 3 cars: SUV, sedan, and sport. And that was my aim when I was 21. And when I entered university and I was about second year in university, I was like, I should do something for that. And I worked for it. And before I touched 24, when I was 24 years old, I managed to finish that off. So it was actually kind of collecting cars. I have the thing of collecting cars with the same number plates. So that's the thing I had, even bigger than my head. Because my dad got this number plate, as you know, 61614 was my thing. He got the A code and I was like, I should continue this legacy. I took I took that number from him and I put it on my cruiser. And then I got the R code and the N code. So I have 3 cars, 3 different leagues, and same number plates with 3 different codes. So that was what I wanted to hit as a goal in my first phase of my life. Now I'm in the second phase of life. Now I'm looking for bigger things. Of course, after getting a license, you kind of show off a lot and you end up in a lot of trouble. You kind of enter a new dimension in life. You understand so many things, but you learn with so many traffic fines, radar fines, signal light crossing, so many things you learn. So that way, the bank account changed and the spending changed. That was a change in the paradigm of my life after getting the license. Until today, I have owned 5 cars. But I don't tell the first one wasn't owning because it was my dad's car. So it's more like taking it from my dad. It's a legacy. So owning with my budget and my money was 4 cars. I started off after the Mercedes. I bought a 2005 Toyota Camry for a good price and I sold it for a good price. It was a business deal. So I had it like for a few months. It was pretty good, but it didn't have Bluetooth, it didn't have aux. I had to get the system inside and I felt like a taxi driver because it was white and no tint. So that was my first car, and then first bought car. And then I went for a 2002 Land Cruiser. I still have it. I did a lot of work on that. And then my first Wakala car from the agency was the 2016 Volkswagen Golf R. And then I got the Lexus LS460 Large L from Japan. So when I say my car, I would say the Golf is my favorite because, you know, when you buy a car from the Wakala, from the agency, it's a different feel. You walk in there like an adult. I had a budget, so I want to go fast because now since I got a job, I need to buy a good car. I don't want to buy a normal car and then be like, I bought it from my money and stuff like that. So if you're spending on a car, spend. I don't regret it, by the way, but I looked at my budget and I saw like which car could hit 0 to 100 under 5 seconds. That was my thing. 5 seconds was my threshold cutoff. I didn't want anything beyond that. So the only option that I had was a car which had all-wheel drive and a launch control, and it hit 100 below 5 seconds. That's my favorite car. Do you know Neffex Underground 2? In that, there's the Golf, the MK4, MK. The time when the Golf was getting into the market and people started knowing about it, unless the rally, it was known for the road cars. So the Golf, we used to play Counter-Strike in the cafes, and once we're done with Counter-Strike, we're gonna drive a little bit. So we used to connect LAN and play 6 of us, and all of us used to take the Golf, because apparently in one single map called the Ironwood Estate, the fastest car was the Golf, even though there was a Ferrari in the same list, or even the 350Z or something, but Golf really did very well. So we used to drive with the Golf, and we used to keep the same cars driving because we want to see who's the better driver, not the fastest car. Since then I was like, what is so big a deal about the Golf? I didn't believe it until I went for the test drive. I went for the test drive. The showroom guy was like, have you tried launching a car before? I was like, you don't launch cars, you drive it. He's like, no, the system got launch control where you lock the RPM and you just launch the car. I'm like, what do you do? How do you do that? He's like, okay, traction control off, brakes down, accelerator full down, RPM is locked, now leave the brake. When I left the brake, the moment my head hit my back of my seat, I knew that was my car. Oh, the kids, I love kids when they're happy with what they get. So there was this one time I was in Muhaisana 4. There's a small cafeteria next to the mosque there. So I was drinking tea with my friend, and this small kid, I would say he was 7 years old, grade 2 or grade 3. He walks up to my car, not to me, and he starts looking around the car, exactly how I used to look around the Japanese cars when I was a kid. He started looking around the car, and he was like, he looked at the car, and then he looked at me and was like, yours? I was like, yes. What do you think? He's like, nice, good paintwork and everything. This is the MK7, right? I'm like, whoa. Not even big people know the MK7 thing, and how do you know that stuff? He's like, my dad works in Volkswagen. He's a service manager, and my dream is to own a Golf R in my life. And he was like, do you have anything, like any modification of the car? I was like, yeah, I have a tune, I have an exhaust. He's like, can I hear it? I was like, of course. I turned the car on, I turned the exhaust on, and I asked him, would you like to rev it? When I asked him, would you like to rev it, that was the time when his stubborn attitude changed. I was like, yes, please. Then he got into the car and he revved it. I have a video of that. I posted that on my Facebook and my YouTube. And he revved the car, and his smile on the face is exactly what I used to have when I used to change gears for my dad. So that excitement in that kid, that's something I could really be happy to do.
Oh, will you fucking fight back?